they take to the start here for the very first time. Looking down the inside of Jack Keithley as well, a touch of contact between the two. Still rubbing wheel to wheel. What a move! Fantastic stuff. A new season at play, and after 2 seasons full of storylines that have been started and finished, we return for new stories in the year of 2021. With drama created already before even a lap of racing, this new season is set to reach even loftier heights as we once again head round to the racetrack. A race around the globe over 10 enthralling rounds, from relative unknowns like the Bilsterberg to fan favourites like the Nordschleife, and of course our race to the streets of Macau to end the 2021 season and see who will take the title in the CUPRA SimRacing Series, which starts now, here, round 1 of 10 at the Hockenheim ring, a circuit which is featured in both of the previous seasons. To open the account in this season though, and our second consecutive season, at least for the first round, we have no returning series champion. More on that in a few moments time. For now, it's time to get underway in the CUPRA SimRacing Series. I'm Lewis McGlade, and alongside me, Chris Buxton.
Thank you very much, Lewis. Very much looking forward to this series. Well, I mean, what amazing drama we had last time out for this incredible series in Season 2. And I very much look forward to seeing how this grid does in the 3rd season. And what a range of names. Very familiar, and also introducing new drivers to this series and also to this, to the RaceRoom and R-Factor world. I mean, my goodness me, the entire field during qualification separated by an 1/8 of a second, not a quarter, not a half, an 1/8 of a second. That's barely more than the average person can blink.
Incredible scenes throughout the qualifying, and already some high drama indeed. Two-time race winner in the series, Kirill Antonov. He is in Split 2. Champion of last season, David Noj, was also unable to qualify into Split 1. He did give it his best attempt, but is one of the 4 Mirror Esports drivers on the roll 5, technically now with a new addition. We'll get to that in a moment. He was just not able to qualify, unlike his teammates. Champion of the VIP race last season, and of course the e-racing competition, Tim Marshall was the driver to qualify in 25th spot and miss up on an opportunity to join the ranks of Split 1 in the opening round of the season. And I believe it was Adam Pinsesh who was the top qualifier in that session, a driver who did very well in the opening race of last season, in fact winning the opening race of 2021 to open his account. Now a 2-time race winner in the series, looking to go strong once again and kicking it off in a good way for a new team.
Is indeed representing Arnage in that bronze livery. We can see there is Gianmarco Caducci, currently top of the timesheet in the practice session. Yes, of course, practice doesn't equate to anything as far as, when it goes live, so to speak, but it's always important to know where you sit in the pecking order. There he is, you can see in the inset. We saw the spicy Italian last time out, getting into a few scrapes we've seen over here in the CUPRA series, so we'll see if he's able just to keep it clean. But again, as previously mentioned, the field being so close, to have got this far is an achievement in itself.
And series runner-up currently on screen, Moritz Lerner for the brand new super team here on RaceRoom Racing Esports. Der Esports, Moritz Lerner a part of that. Joining him, the likes of Florian Haase, of Bence Banky as well. This is an incredibly strong team, that to rival the likes of Mirror Esports. Moving was Moritz Lerner. He was in the off-season away from a sim racing team per se. He was a part of Williams Esports last season, broke away from that, departed at the end of 2020, at the start of 2021, and leaving them with 1 car left on the grid. That is the man of Jack Keithley, who's currently on screen. Of course, one of the drivers to have won in both seasons of the CUPRA SimRacing Series so far, alongside, from memory, David Noj himself and Bence Banky are the only 3 drivers that have won in both of the seasons. Of course, though, we're looking here at Split 1. now, whilst we are racing, there are multiple consecutive splits that are also being run from some of the drivers lower down in the category, those that didn't qualify into split 1. They've already been racing a little bit earlier on today. Rob Wiesenmüller, who's on the cameras, can take us through a little bit as to what happened in split 2 in race 1.
Hello everyone, and here we are with some highlights from the race of the second server. So lots of action happening already in the other servers. 6 servers in total, and we just saw Rasmus Salo there on the screen. Yeah, getting pretty feisty out there. He was on pole position, he was fighting very hard behind him. Markovic and Chung, they got together in the second race as well. But the winner of the first race, that was Kirill Antonov. Second in the second race as well, Ben Farkas won that. So that's our short report from the second race, and back to you.
No surprise to see him being so very strong. The last 2 races in 2020, Chris, saw one driver take both of those race victories. They were on the streets of Macau, and it was Kirill Antonov. So he ended the season with a high, and this season just misses out on getting into split 1. 10-round season, though. Don't think he'll be too worried right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, Macau is so unforgiving. It's a great circuit to watch racing on, but my goodness, it will test the very, very best. As mentioned, the calendar sees some amazing tracks. Really, really looking forward to where we go throughout the entire season. It's just going to be immense on every circuit we go to.
Yeah, a high list of drivers across the grid going around the globe with us. One of those being James Montgomery, the man of Jersey, one of the few drivers that we get to see from the Channel Islands taking to the grid. Has been in sim racing for a fair while. Was sending us some fun facts prior to it. Has been in sim racing and esports since all the way back in 2003. So nearly 20 years of experience under his belt. Took a little bit of a break from sim racing and motorsports in general. Had a little bit of a motorsports career starting from 2006. Took a little bit of a break from that though to get himself a degree in motorsports engineering. So if there's a driver who'll know what he's doing when it comes to setting up a car, it would be him. However, that is almost irrelevant when it comes to the CUPRA SimRacing Series, because it is an important note of this, and it's what makes it so very close. It's a fixed setup. It is hard work out there for the drivers, and it's about what you're doing behind the wheel.
Completely, and not everybody is a fan of the fixed setup idea. I personally am. I think it provides that more level playing field for those that may not necessarily have the expertise or the time even to learn how to set up each minor element of the car to maximize for a particular track or a particular driving style. Here it's already set, and that's one way of taking turn 2. Great style points, and if he wanted, we were already going to see him because of the livery, and now if he's going to do that in the practice session, then we'll be noticing him quite a few times.
Let's take a look at this stat. Race wins from 2020. It's quite close behind. One race win for Keithley, Yarshall Haase, 2 for Pinsession, Banky, 3 for Moritz Lerner, 8 for our series champion David Nagy. There is good reason as to why he ended up winning that championship. Of course, there was that spell in the midpoint of the season, those of you that were watching will remember, where there was 7 consecutive races. I think it might have even been more than that from memory. I think it was actually 8, where the race wins were split between David Nagy and Moritz Lerner. It was 5 for Nagy and 3 for Lerner, and there was just this period where it was just them two at the front of the field. It was incredible scenes to see them battling as hard as they were, but I think it was an interesting note for Nagy up until the Spa race at the end of last season. It was the final endurance race in last season using the different formats, which we'll get into how that all works later in the season, don't worry. Less so in this season. But we used to do it where it was a sprint race, then two sprint races at one round, then the next round we would do a 60-minute full distance race, a big race. And Nagy was always really, really good in the shorter races. But in the long races, it took him the best part of 2 years to win one. It was crazy.
Yeah, not everybody is a fan of the longer series races. I'm personally more a fan of the shorter ones. It's one of these situations where you can just focus really, really intently on what you're doing, hitting every mark but not necessarily for the length of time that would be needed to win out over an endurance race. But that's a wonderful part of being able to balance those two different types of races, is it gives everybody with those different styles, those different elements of their own driving style, an opportunity to perform as best as they possibly can.
Yeah, indeed. Open qualifying underway then for the first race of the season. You can see it's already carnage running through the hairpin there as everyone's just trying to find their way. Look at this. I was about to say, look at the Tour Esports drivers. All three of them basically in one line. You'll see Mirror Esports as well do something very, very similar. Slipstream in these kind of cars is going to be quite important. It always makes a little bit of a difference, and that's why we always see Mirror Esports towards the front, because they always used to work together so very well. And if you can start 1, 2, 3 in this race, it makes life a lot easier, especially if you can start 1, 2, 3, 4 in the form of Mirror Esports. New driver for them this season, Martin Barner. And we'll get onto that once again, looking at Florian Haase, a driver who I gave you a little bit of a stat before we went on air, that of the 2 previous times that we've come to this venue, Florian Haase is actually one that goes really, really well here. Had pole position back in 2019, didn't win that day, but the 2 times we've come here, he topped the leaderboards on both occasions. So didn't do it this time, he was 8th in the leaderboards this time out, but a driver that clearly works well with this venue.
A home advantage, you could argue, for the native German, as now people are beginning to start their time laps, the Dawn crew exactly doing the slipstream effect, hopefully to good effect. Now we saw quite a bit of that in the practice session as well, the relevant teams doing what they could to maximize that slipstream effect. And in these cars at a track such as Hockenheim, there's several areas, and as we now come through the Parabolica, here is a prime opportunity with that slipstream. It's going to make a huge difference. Only trouble is they've got cars that are all around them, all doing the same thing. So they're almost negating their own advantage because everybody's doing it. But again, there's no harm in practicing it, as someone's actually bugged out at the beginning of that. Oh no, that's got a little bit wrong. Someone wasn't anticipating the lead of the train trying to jump out of the way. Oh, they need to sort that out pretty quickly. Florian could actually come out quite well if the cars ahead of him kind of sort themselves out. But well, now we know who jumped out of the way. No, they're still kind of arguing one another. Florian now has got no one to slipstream off of, but no, that's all gone wrong. They've still got time to kind of reform, regroup, but they need to be careful they don't upset other people. We see people flying off the road. Oh, goodness me. Such is the nature of people trying to get those early laps in as quick as they can.
It was Christian Juhasz who was blocking them there, but he was on his own lap. He was the first person to start a time, but through the chaotic affair of the Tour drivers closing in on the slipstream into the hairpin, just wasn't able to make anything stick in all of that. Michael Raikl was one who fell foul to Tour's exploits as they were trying to reorganise themselves and making a bit of a hash of it. To cross the line then for the first time laps of the session, the Italian of Plishka will go to the top of the session and instantly dropped off of it by Max Pfeiffer in a car we will not be missing. Of course, team liveries are part of the theme in the 2021 season of the CUPRA SimRacing Series, and fantastic to see them. We've seen them elsewhere in a couple of little competitions elsewhere in RaceRoom competition, but now making its way into the CUPRA SimRacing Series, and I love to see teams identifying with their brands.
Absolutely, and we've seen it before where the field is very similar in colour, which doesn't diminish the racing, but at least we can easier spot who is doing well and who doesn't. As we look at Adam Pincez, one of our quite a number of Hungarian drivers with us in this session, jumps up to 7th place on his run. Here's another train going on, being led by Alessandro Ottaviani. Need to get this right, Ottaviani. He won't want to lead Ottaviani, beg your pardon. Now, he won't want to lead this particular train, but that is where he currently finds himself. Sonny currently sits in 19th place without a lap on the board just yet. Quite a few purples coming up, as you would imagine, this stage in the qualifying. Now, the qualifying is not particularly long. It's long enough to get several laps in, but as is quite clear, everyone is fighting for every bit of track they can find. Wow, that's exuberant. Coming through turn 7, beg your pardon. Into the arena, as Maurice Luna gets very, very close. Now Maurice is in a great position. He's going to big old slipstream, and because a number of these corners are being taken at a decent speed, they're obviously going to lose a fair amount of air resistance. So this should really help Moritz get up through the leaderboard. Where's he going to put him? Over the line.
Oh.
That's pole for now for Moritz Lohner. Nicely done.
That is a big time as well, 46.5. That was in a decent slipstream of Ottaviani, so clearly didn't need his teammates around to try and set a decent time. Mihai Neg across the line into 7th position. The early stages of this qualifying session have been messy for some and need to get cleaner if some drivers are determined to work their way forward. The 2 Ford Zilla cars are quite close on circuit. Gianmarco Fiducci, who found his feet a little bit, at least towards the final part of the CUPRA e-racing competition, having victory at the Spa circuit, which I think was the 3rd race of that evening. Obviously that was a fair while ago. In the CUPRA SimRacing Series, Gianmarco Fiduci has yet to take a win, but he has been on the podium in 4 of the last 5 races in the CUPRA SimRacing Series. So certainly a driver who matches well with this car. His teammate Manuel Gomez, who's moved over to Team Fortilla, up in 8th position, used to be teammates with this man, Leandro Vela. Snow Shatton Esports, I believe that might be Christian Juhasz directly behind, and certainly is. They switch on the parabolica on the run down towards the hairpin as well. So teammates working well in qualifying, at least in some parts of the grid.
Yeah, absolutely. And, yeah, this is what practice is for, really, isn't it? Here we go. Is Gergo Baldi from the Mirror squad. Again, a big old toe from the exit of the hairpin through turn 7, then into the arena, and very nicely done. Swap round. A lovely opportunity then. So Gergo should now be able to carry that advantage through to the line, and there he is.
Very calm as always.
Isn't he just? Just concentrating away. It looks very casual, but we've all been in this situation. There's a fair amount of nerves and stress that goes on when you're in a competitive situation such as this, especially when the field is so close.
He's a driver that has won in the CUPRA SimRacing Series before. It was a very long time ago, though. It was back in Season 1. It was back at Monza. Last season, when he joined the series for a couple of rounds, he wasn't in it full-time, just joined for a couple. He was more in an assistance role to try and help his teammate, David Noj, to try and secure that title. And Mirror Esports is so good at basically working as a team and trying to get each other up the grid and working as a group, as a contingent to move forward. And it was what made things so frustrating for Moritz Lohner last season, was that a lot of the Williams Esports squad last season were kind of tripping over each other and stuff. Meanwhile, Mirror were going from strength to strength and moving forward, and it really was very, very impressive to see. David Noj, he's not here today. He qualified for Split 2. Gergo Baldi, who I thought last season was the stronger of the, to be fair, I always thought that he was the strongest of the Mirror Esports squad. The two battled it out quite close in the early stages of the WTCR Esports Championship, which Gergo Baldi ended up winning on RaceRoom Racing competition. And it's an impressive run for the team. You kind of get the feeling that it's got to end sometime, because Mirror Esports, realistically at the moment, are the strongest team, I would say anyway, on the platform.
That's fair to say, but I mean, as we already mentioned, the Doors Super Team really do, on paper at least, look like they could really make Mirror Esports really very much work for their standing in this series. So I can't wait. I'm so looking forward to seeing how well the establishment deal with the newly formed teams around them.
Mirror Esports under the name of Martin Barner, who is heading one of his teammates at the moment on the lap. Currently qualified in 3rd position, the Hungarian moving over to the Hungarian squad of Norbert Michelis, and was previously a part of AAA Esports, and of course so was Adam Pinses, and the two Hungarians, they've split apart. They're no longer teammates, as one's gone one way, one's gone the other, and interesting to see that sort of split. They seem to work well as teammates, but alas, not anymore. AAA Esports no longer having a flag flown in the CUPRA SimRacing Series. Gianmarco Fiduci then up into 6th position. 2 minutes left in the qualifying session. He's going to pull off, and that will be his session done. 2 minutes left on the clock, and the way things work here is I say this every time we go live and we do a qualifying session. Once that timer hits 0, the session is done. We are over for the day. So some drivers are starting their final laps, other drivers are about to finish their final lap. I think Bence Banky, who's currently on the screen for the Esports, might just get another one in, or it's going to be real tight. I actually don't think he will. Moves up to 4th. Is that going to be his final lap?
I reckon it will be. I don't think it will be so close. unless he sets an absolutely godlike time on his final run, I don't think it's going to quite beat the flag, but we will see. As we now look at currently 12th position there, Peter Plishka from the Abellas Esports squad coming through. That is turn 11, heading to 12 now. What can he do? Currently sits, as we say, in 12th position. You can see on the bottom of the screen, he's setting green sectors. It's not setting the border light, so to speak. May improve on his current standing. As we switch to our current pole man, there is Moritz Lerner, who I don't believe has improved on his previous pole time yet. Still sits at 46.537, but is out there getting a few more practice kilometres in and seeing how well he can do.
Yeah, final moments of this qualifying session. Lerner looking really, really good for his third pole position in the series. Of course, runner-up last season and multiple race winner across the 2020 season, was holding a candle to David Noj, but unfortunately just couldn't do the mileage that Noj could. Gergo Baldi out of the final corner, 24th position at the moment, yet to actually put a decent time in on the board. What's he going to do? It is good enough to move him up to 7th place. Decent effort in the final moments, and certainly a lap time he really needed to do.
Very much so, and that's only 4/10 off the pole spot as we now switch to Brazilian of Leandro Vela. That's 18th position for him. That's a 47 flat. My goodness, so 4/10 is the top 6 or so, and then it's only another, 2/10 down to somewhere like 20th.
Yeah, really, really crazy. Moritz Lerner then on pole position ahead of Ottaviana, Barna, Banki, Haase also up there. We're ready for race 1. Pole position number 3 then for Moritz Lerner, looking for yet another victory in the CUPRA SimRacing Series. He pulled the slipstream from Ottaviani and it was good enough for pole position. A lot of teams slipping up over each other in that qualifying session. Lewis McGlade, Chris Buxton. Chris, final thoughts after that qualifying session? We're about to go into the race. It was pretty tense out there.
Oh, somewhat. Less than a second, covering all 24 cars. That's absolutely incredible. And we saw how difficult it was to get any kind of clean runs out there. I mean, fair play to Lerner for getting that poles with a decent amount of time still on the clock as well. He said that relatively early in the session. So, yeah, this is going to be absolutely amazing. Who can get their elbows out the best and hang on to that all-important slipstream?
And for the race that we've got this evening, 25 minutes ahead of us to get that all-important top 10 and the reverse grid for race 2. About to get underway for the CUPRA SimRacing Series in 2021. It's Moritz Lerner on pole position from Ottaviani as we race our way round the calendar once again. 10 rounds ahead of us. Lerner gets away nice and clean. It's pressure from behind as Barna is going to try and go around the outside of Ottaviani. It was close of a two-door. Esports drivers as well are going to be battling it out side by side behind that. Benz Banking, Florian Haase, as they're still going to be side by side to turn 2. It is a way clear for Lerner. Tight stuff from behind, but look at that gap.
That's incredible, just after 3 turns, and there's already a couple of tenths in the bag for Moritz Lerner. That's what it looks like from the back of the German. What a cracking start. That's exactly what he needed. Fine driving, perfect lines, and fine beard to top. And look at the battle of the second. Ottaviani doing what he can, going defensive very, very early through the parabolica to keep Martin Barna at bay. But that's all come to nothing on the acid. Ottaviani's doing look at this. It's like it's so fast, so good, so fast.
Barna then was really attacking Ottaviani. It wasn't quite good enough, but the Low Mirror Esports driver up towards front of the field. He's diving it down now at the arena section, and he's got it done. He's just going to be able to hang on. He'll have the entrance for the right-hander sorted. Ottaviani trying to get racy around the outside of the Hungarian. And now Barna is going to try and set his sights on Lerner ahead. 23 minutes, of course, still left on the clock. Still so much time to close that gap down. It's been high drama through the mid part of the field, but Lerner leading the way 1.2 1.2 seconds from Barner, Ottaviani, Haase and Plishka. It was very, very close between Banky and Haase over that first lap, but Haase was able to get the position on the Italian with focus on Jack Keithley, who most certainly will not be happy with 10th position on the road at the moment. Multiple race winner in the series for Williams Esports, their lone driver so far in 2021. 10th place, and what will in 23 minutes time become the reverse grid pole position. We'll get more on that as the race unfolds, but Lerner clear by 1.2 seconds. Was really attacking Ottaviani.
Absolutely, but so much fighting going on. Now, I can't imagine that people are just going to try and settle into the rhythm and let the miles go by. The teammates seem to be split throughout the field. You haven't got that potential team working going on because no one is right next to their teammate on board with the Italian once again of the virtual drivers by TX3 competitor of Alessandro Ottaviani. He's gone for the outside line. I thought he might try and cover the inside on the hairpin, but he's going to try and outbrake Barner into the hairpin, and he can't quite do it. Brave, but can't get the momentum when he needs it. That's thinking outside the box there, not quite the normal way you would attack the hairpin. It hasn't come off for him just yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure it was actually the smartest move. I would almost sit behind and try and push Martin Barner. Barner covering off the move that he made on Ottaviani in the previous lap, and Ottaviani was trying to go around the outside. There was no way through, and Barner's going to hang on, at least for now, 1.3 seconds. That gap will grow the harder these fight, and whilst they have Florian Haase behind, the more they fight, the more that Haase is going to try and get involved in all of this as well, and that would not be an ideal scenario for them. Can't wait to see those second and third drivers to get some liveries on their cars, because I'm going to say that the virtual drivers by TX3 team, in my opinion, lovely livery, dark blue, bright green, they're famous colours that they've run elsewhere for years now. It does really work as a good colour combination, certainly is quite a striking view. Let's look back down the field then a little bit. Juan Manuel Gomez, who's just outside of the top 10, putting pressure on the Englishman at the moment to get himself up the order.
Very true. There's so many cars around him. A bit of a twitch going into turn one. The car's getting a little bit unsettled there, but everybody seems to be behaving themselves. No one is making a move. Just as I say that, in the background, someone jumps out from behind. Oh, that's a big move! Oh, that was a huge lock up there. It was Juhas. Oh my goodness, I think he just missed his braking point and went for the avoiding motion. So he dived to the inside line. In the heat at the moment, that was probably as best as he could do. Now he's going to be under pressure right behind. That's Mihai Neg that's going to be challenging on the outside line, coming down towards the hairpin. Is he going to be able to hold it? It's difficult to actually see who's who when the back is that close. When Nihe's got the inside line, Neg Brothers got the inside line, and that's a fairly straightforward overtake in the end. Oh dear.
It's Pinsesh who's the one who's really being fired backwards down the order as he's dropping yet another position. He's under pressure by Ben Zupanek. That's in the he's in the gold and blue car, whereas Adam Pinsesh, he was the one that took the hit from Christian Juhas. There's Ben Zupanek in that white and sort of battleship grey Mirror Esports car that's trying to find his way through as well. As we focus up the order, there's contact a little bit between Jack Keithley and McGonin as they fire their way in towards the Sachs curve through Mobile 1. And look at that, who's going to try and get advantage through? It's going to be Juan Manuel Gomez, nearly around the outside, but just not good enough. Brave
move from the Argentinian. Didn't quite come off, unfortunately. Yeah, Jack Keithley, like you said, I think he's frustrated from how the start's gone. But look at the gap he's now got to close down ahead of him to Fiduci. That's a big gap he's going to try and close down. You also want to talk about nice-looking liveries. I must say I'm a little bit partial to that Dawn blue and black colour scheme that the Dawn crew have. Looking at the gap as well between Lauritz and Martin Barner, that's now 1.6 seconds between the two. But Barner just cannot shake off the advances of Alessandro Ottaviani, and now Florian Haase is right in there.
It's very, very close. I wonder if there's going to be a move down into the hairpin. They've got to keep it clean over the final 90 minutes of the race, because some of them have been very elbows out, as Ottaviani is going to be diving to the inside. He's going to hook the apex. Barner was going to try and go for the cutback and does succeed with the cutback, potentially with a bit of assistance on the rear of his car from Florian Haase, who's also potentially going to be in for a look down the inside into the arena. This is how Barna got through. Is Ottaviani going to try and do the same thing? No, but look at Florian Haase around the outside of the Italian. That's about as good as you want. He's got the inside for the next part. There's contact between the two as they're pushing each other over the curb. It is getting dicey. They are going to be racking up some incident points as they run through. A reminder, just for those of you joining us for the first time in the CUPRA SimRacing Series, there are incident points for these drivers. If they cut the track, if they make contact, they could be pushing themselves up towards a potential DQ. It is quite far down the order. It is quite a way away. But in Server 2, we did see some drivers picking up a disqualification. If they're going to race this hard, I think some drivers might be concerningly pushing themselves towards it, especially as the race unfolds. There's going to be that battle for 10th place, which is going to get really, really spicy towards the end, because in 2021 of the CUPRA SimRacing Series, there's no second qualifying session. It is just a reverse grid pole. 10th place going to get switched up to that pole position. That is going to be a hard, hard fight.
Very much so. Again, on board with Peter Plishka, as you can see, that replay of that great move, or a great attempt, we should say, from Haase in the inlet there. But, on board with Peter Plishka, he's not sitting there waiting for an opportunity. He is pushing hard. They all are. And look at that back. That is absolutely unreal. One mistake can cause an absolutely almighty great cascade of incidents. And there we go, Ottaviani into the back again of Martin Barna. And it may be someone else's mistake that you can't avoid that can cause those incident points to rack up pretty quickly, especially if the impact is very big and you've got a lot of people around you. Watching back now from the Hungarian of Martin Barna, there's lots of very eager drivers trying to get past him. A little deep coming out of turn 8, but does manage to hold on to that one, but just being pushed along the road almost by the Italian of Ottaviani. He's not really going to make a move there at turn 11. That's making himself very known. Is he going to get a decent run as they come up to the next braking zone on turn 12? No, not quite. It's all those tense little moments. And this being a bit of a longer race than we've had previously, it's a 25-minute race this time, and they have to do it all over again for race number 2. Yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, it's going to be tough stuff. Seen a couple of mistakes creeping in for Martin Barna. A lot of pressure from behind. Of course, Ottaviani, one of those drivers applying pressure, but you've got the entire train behind Florian Haase, Plishka, who I know they'll be the fan base of Ballas Racing Team. They'll be watching on. They've got a huge fan base, and they do make some great social media as well to the Ballas Racing Team. Doing very, very well here up inside that top 5, keeping Bence Banker at bay. Gergo Baldi as well, and Gianmarco Fiducci, the final car sort of within this train. The Ford Zillerman just closing up to this sort of train properly, and is very much a part of it now as we ride on board with Bence Banker. You can see him there on the right hand side of your screen, looking fairly calm, and obviously you can see him talking a lot there, communicating with his teammate, because Florian Haase, who's in this train, the more they communicate, the more they can sort of make things happen in this train as they see fit.
I love that. He's having a casual conversation. He's got one hand off the wheel, just tapping his fingers. It's all good. He's got it in his stride. But Martin Barna, though, is defending against what must feel like the whole world. Because once again, Ottaviani trying to make the move. Florian Haase trying to follow us through as well. Now Florian is I think, just trying to follow Ottaviani to get the move done. But Barna is doing a brilliant job and displaying a defensive driving masterclass at the moment. But the longer they fight, of course, the more they're going to bring drivers in behind them. The pack already has, obviously, Barna at the front of it, Ottaviani, Haase, Plishka, Bence Banky, as we saw. Baldi's not far behind, along with Gianmarco Fiducci. So that's 2nd to 8th, pretty much, that's in this pack already. And there it is from the outside shot. So one mistake is going to be so costly. So that Martin Barna must be absolutely sweating right now.
Yeah, considering that, don't want to give him the bad news, but buddy boy, we are not even halfway through this race. Still 14 minutes to go of some really, really intense action. You want to know how to deal with sweaty hands? Look at Florian Haase. Got some gloves on. Very smart move. because that means at least you can grip the wheel. It doesn't try getting away from you. Haster, who's been very good at this venue, said that he was the top driver on the leaderboard in the first 2 times that we came to this circuit over 2019 and 2020. In the 4 races that we've had here at Hockenheim, Florian Haster is a driver who has had podiums on 2 of those 4 races, so as a driver who goes well, one of those being a race victory, and that was the last time that we came here in 2020 in the second race. Of course, that time we actually did have a second qualifying session, so it's not quite the same as how things play out. It's a bit close to how it was in 2019 as Ottaviani once again sends it in on the brakes, this time trying to go for that cutback. Running very, very wide though was Martin Barner, and look at how close that blue virtual drivers by TX3 machine of Ottaviani is at present. Is there going to be a dive? No, it is covered off from Barner, so around the outside we're seeing it work. Is it going to leave it with the inside this time? Oh, it was close, but not quite yet.
Great effort, but still not paying off for Ottaviani. He's been so close for so long. He knows what colour underpants that Barner's got on. So, yeah, dude, he's just doing everything he can. And it's just not paying off for him at the moment. And Hasse is again, just waiting to follow through. And Hasse's just biding his time.
Yeah, it's patience from everyone else back in this pack, which is a smart move, because fighting hard at this point could get you some more instant points, push you closer to a disqualification, or potentially just fire you down the escape road. And I don't know about you, I would take an 8th place in this race, as much as it's not an ideal result, but an 8th, a 7th, where's that reverse grid? You know, in the reverse grid, you're up to 3rd, you're up to 4th, you're up to a potential chance at a race victory. Mihai Neg currently on screen, well outside of that for now, on quite a lot of incident points at present. The limit for the incident points is 40. You get 4 for bits of car contact, 1 for exceeding track limits. I believe that Neg at present is on 37, which is... I wouldn't want to be in his car right now, I'll say that.
With still, you know, just under 12 minutes to go, that's a lot of pressure to put on. You need a fairly decent midfield spot. Oh, look again, Ottaviani trying to go on the inside line. Can he slow that one down? Is he finally going to dethrone Barner? And then Hasse, once again, I said he's been waiting to follow through on the move that Ottaviani has made, and he can't quite get the momentum. Right behind Hasse, Plishka has occupied the spot that Hasse needs to slot back in the line. Side by side now, coming up towards turn 8. Ottaviani's got it done. He just needs to stay out of the way, and Hasse now forced to the outside line. He wants to hang on for the inside for 10. Can he do it? Still side by side with Barner now. He's going to force the Hungarian wide, and that's Florian Hasse up to 3rd. Blink of an eye, just a handful of corners, and Barner has lost 2 spots.
Hasse being on the podium right now is really, really a big deal. It could be close. I mean, I'm not going to rule it out that there might be a Dur 1-2. There might even be a Dur 1-2-3, dependent on what behind can be done by the driver of Benz Banki. Saw a little bit of a switch position as Gianmarco Fiducci is trying to get by Gergo Baldi. He nearly got that position done running out of the Sachs curve, but wasn't quite good enough. Again, the harder they fight, the more the likes of Jack Keithley, Juan Manuel Gomez will be a part of this, and I can see them in the chat as well. The fan base of Snow Shat and Esports, they are currently running, I believe, the highest driver in 12th place. Gomez, who was a part of that team last season, is up into that 10th place reverse grid pole. So they want to push a little bit further forward with Vela. There on the replay on the right hand side of your screen, you can see how that move was done. A fantastic display from Florian Hasse around the outside. Aggressive racing, yes, tick, still fair though.
Very much so, and everyone kept their cool and gave the necessary amount of racing room to make that stick and not just become a very nasty big pile on this corner. Oh, Fiducci, he's going to box himself in, trying to make the move on the outside there of Gergo Baldi, who in himself is trying to have a crack at Banki right ahead of him. Oh, side by side, that's the back view from Banki now, as Baldi and Fiducci are having their scrap for 7th position. Who's going to win out for the Ford Civic on the inside line coming into turn 8? That's not going to win out. I don't think Banki should be able to defend that one. Yep, the 73 slots back into 7th position. Nicely done. And Banki had a great view of that particular battle going on. Again, whilst they fight, the more they bring in the next car in line, which is Jack Keithley. There he is. Whoops, someone's kicking up a bit of dust there, and we're seeing another move. That's another side-by-side. That was Barner and Plishka, I think, slightly further up. banking Plishka, beg your pardon. So it didn't quite come off, and side by side still going on right behind them between Baldi and Caducci. Still the Ford-Zilla driver is kept at bay.
Yeah, just can't get his way through. Good attempt from Bent's Bank. He just wasn't able to make anything stick on Plishka. And basically what they're trying to do in this scenario is they're trying to pull drivers off of the next gun. Oh, here we go.
Dina.
Instant limit already rearing its ugly head. Attila Dina is disqualified from the race courtesy of breaching the 40-point limit. And so that'll be down to track excursions, car contact, etc. Just playing things a little bit too rough out there. And yeah, out of the race, the first casualty. And we do know that Michael Neg is also quite close, as would be quite a few other drivers on the grid.
So Lerner just minding his own business up front, just allowing everybody else to continue to fight and just slow themselves up. Oh, that's Fiduci again on the inside line, this time off the hairpin. This surely is going to be moved on to the Italian. Yes, it is indeed. Up to 7th, Gogo Baldi having to concede that one, but with the pack being so close, I'm not surprised we're seeing the incident limit being breached. People having to get their elbows out to try and force a move. Oh, that's a bit deep for Gogo Baldi. No harm done. Those Fiduci probably saw that one coming and braced himself accordingly. Nicely driven.
Yeah, some drivers that have been patient over the first bits of the race are now starting to get their elbows out. And this can be, we speak all the time of conservation of tyres, conservation of your car in general, conservation of incident points. That'll be a new talking point for the 2021 season. James Montgomery battling it out. Two very colourful cars, Ballast Racing, the one directly behind. That'll be Luciano Wittfurt, two drivers from the Ballast Racing team on the grid in the 2021 first round of the season here at the Hockenheim. That is pretty intense racing between the two as the Dutchman is trying to fight with the man of Jersey, diving it back down the inside of the penultimate corner, and that really isn't on, trying to make that dive stick, but credit for effort.
Yeah, there's the battle of the pink going on between the 19th and 20th place runners at the moment, but this is the joy of this series, isn't it? With the fixed setups and with how close in talent all of these drivers are, there's battles everywhere. In particular, the battle for second that stretches between down to 9th position with Jack Keithley at the back of that particular conga line.
Also, I know, say it time and time again, Snow Stratton Esports, their fan base be going wild at the moment as moving up the order. Lucas Vela is up to 11th position. He's got ahead of Mikael Raikl. One more position, he'll be inside the top 10. That could be an intense fight dependent on how things unfold as Zoltan Siuti's marched his way forward down the inside of his fellow Hungarian Adam Pinces, and pushing it out wide. Christian Newhart for Snow Stratton Racing will be able to try and maybe fire his way through, but backs out there before we even get to the kink. Zoltan Siuti maybe not doing as well as we would expect at present. Obviously part of that Mirror Esports squad and really not looking super duper strong here. And last season he was a really, really good, really solid right-hand man for David Noj.
Indeed, but that's the way that it falls sometimes. I mean, we saw the impressive win record for David Noj, and he's the one that isn't here. So that just shows how quickly these sort of things can turn completely on his head, as we see James Montgomery, the man from Jersey, still fending off the advances of Leandro Vela for 19th position. So despite the fact that he's some way down the field, they're still fighting as best they can for those positions. We, as usual, reminder that it is indeed Maurice Lerner leading the way, looking to seal that home victory, and why not? Again, this is the thing with the pros. They make it look so easy. It's just, he's got everything under control. He's still feeling it, because he knows full well if he makes a mistake, or, it has to be a pretty significant mistake for him to do, but he could still be right in the middle of that pack, and that's exactly what he doesn't want. This race has gone brilliantly well for Maurice Lerner.
Yeah, he's been in the top 5 an awful lot across his CUPRA SimRacing Series career. Has been always towards the front end. It took him a little while to get that first victory, but when he did get that first victory, guess what it was followed up by? Yep, yeah, right, that's another victory, just instantly followed it up with, and then took a victory not long after that, and that was in that sort of reign of Noj and Lerner switching race victories almost all the time. 8 race wins between them. over that streak. It was 5 for Noj and 3 for Lerner. I said that earlier in the broadcast. Those are Lerner's 3 only race victories in the CUPRA SimRacing Series, looking to grab his 4th to open his account in 2021. Adam Pincech looking to the inside as he's trying to fight with fellow Hungarian Zoltán Suti, but no way through at present, and still looking backwards from Ottaviani under pressure. Now it's from Haase, and Haase's looking to try and make it a Dur 1-2.
Indeed, trying to secure the top 2 spots for the home country. And Florian Haase can certainly do it. He's got the pace. We saw just how well he was able to demote Barna when Ottaviani finally made his move stick. So yeah, it could certainly be done. I don't envy Ottaviani at all at this stage. As looking at the results, we've had our 2nd victim of the incident limit. Mihai Neg is out of this race as a result of it. So he was running very, very close to the limit, as we knew earlier, for quite a while. Wasn't able to hang on to it. There's Garibaldi. Oh, wow. Went to make the move, hesitated, and then I think kind of forced into it from the braking of the Ford Zilla car. But well driven from Garibaldi there, not to get kind of distracted by that and make the right move at the right time up into 7th. He's going to have to work hard to hold it.
Yeah, no eating marshmallows this time from Gergo Bowdy. That was pretty intense stuff when he won in the WTCR Esports Championship at the Nordschleife. He was eating marshmallows doing laps around there.
Nice.
Shout out to him, why not? As we look at Plishka down the inside of Barna, going to get himself up into 4th place as long as this move can be completed. And so far, it looks like it may well be so, but we know that Barna's good on the inside into the arena section where he is going to try and leave his nose. He's committed on the brakes, and Mirror Esports' latest recruit, desperate to hang on to 4th place and going to continue to do so. Bence Banky, once again, very much a part of this. So for the Dur Esports camp, they are going very much out on the attack. 2 minutes left on the clock. We're going to be very, very close to it being 2 laps to go, but I do believe it will just be 1. I think we are going to be starting, looking at the time, should be starting the final lap of the race, and Lerner's still out front.
Yeah, and looks pretty comfortable in maintaining that. He's backed off a little bit, probably just to not allow that incident limit to creep up too far. Yeah, and to ensure there's only 1 lap to go. Fair play. I did done the same thing, but I'm never usually in the lead, so it's not a feeling I'm particularly accustomed to. But now is going to be the time when anyone that's got anything left, any incident limit allowance, any tyres left, or any energy left, at this point, this is when the kind of big Dander moves I think are going to be made coming down into turn 2 as we look at Peter Plishka and his quest to try and make Martin Barna's day even worse. Of course, Alejandro Ottaviani still having to fend off the advances of Florian Haase. He knows full well that it's going to be into the hairpin. It's going to be the greatest opportunity for the German to make the Italians day even worse. And Alessandro's gone for that very heavily defensive line, as has right behind them Barna and Plishka doing the same dance. And still Ottaviani doing a brilliant job of fending off Florian Haase. There's still a little bit side by side. Ottaviani's going to have the next inside line. And yeah, Haase's going to have to concede that one. But how's he going to do here? We saw him make the move brilliantly well a few laps ago here. But again, Ottaviani passed right in the middle. Bit of a nudge from the Dur Esports number 67. Ooh. But no harm, no foul at the moment.
Look from behind though, Plishka's got by Barna. Plishka has made that move stick. Barna's going to try and make it go again into Mobil 1, but it's not going to work. And Plishka, I think, they're going to be committed at high speed. It's so close between the two. I think it's going to work out for the Ballas Esports man. Once we head to the Sats curve, a little bit of contact between the two as they're pushing each other really, really hard for 4th place. Up at the front, he's been clear all day. And for the 3rd time, he grabbed his pole position and has a 100% conversion ratio. Moritz Lerner on top in his new squad of Dur Esports for the 4th time in the CUPRA SimRacing Series. Ottaviani in behind, and Florian Haase, that's 3 from 5 at the Hockenheim ring, grabs himself another podium at this venue, which he goes so very well at. It will be for the top 10 reverse grid. Juan Manuel Gomez on the front row from Jack Keithley as well. That is going to be intense, as Gergo Baldi, Gianmarco Fiducci will be behind. Crazy first race for us. Moritz Lerner on top though.
Yeah, clean sweep. Then race win from pole with fastest lap. Brilliantly done for Dora Esports, a first and a third. Well, you can't get much better than that. Very, very well driven indeed. Right at the death of the race, James Montgomery sadly falling foul of the instant limit as well. So it just goes to show how difficult that is to maintain. But yeah, Manuel Gomez is going to have the pole spot. Oh, that's going to be difficult to maintain. But again, that's the nature of reverse grid races. It's designed to shuffle the grid. And with a series where overtaking really does need those big, brave moves, that's going to be great to see.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one for them. I mean, starting from pole position is always the best spot. We know that. But converting from that is going to make things hard. Race 2 coming up in just a moment. Never mind, we are still going to be keeping with it after a fantastic opening race. Lerner's going to have it cut out, though, to work his way up the order, as it's going to be a difficult race for him. Hopefully, it's going to be nice and clean, but with that instant limit, things could get very, very interesting.
That's going to be a very big telling point in this race where, obviously the qualifying hasn't dictated the grid, or hasn't dictated the top half of the grid, I should say. So cars are going to be out of position compared to pace. So it's going to be how brave are they going to be compared to the instant limit they've got to play with. Now, some people will be able to be brave enough to kind of rack up those early incident points and then just keep it clean for the rest of the race. But some people won't be able to maintain that. So it's going to be who can hold their nerve the best.
Yeah, and it is going to be a nervy grid out there. Race 1 was pretty intense through the mid-pack and towards the front. Race 2 will, I'm sure, be absolutely no different. We'll see what happens as we head for race 2. An intense affair in race 1 will be continued in this one. Manuel Gomez will be starting from the pole position, and if there is a driver I wouldn't want behind me in that position, it would be one Jack Keithley. He's got some close assistance in Gianmarco Fiducci on that second row, but Gergo Baldi is alongside him for the second time in the CUPRA SimRacing Series in 2021. Here at the Hockenheim ring, we are underway, and the Argentinian of Juan Manuel Gomez will be leading the field. Jack Keithley instantly getting aggressive and covering off long-time battler Gergo Baldi as they're running through turn 1. It's pretty tight, it's pretty intense. It's Team Fordzilla out front, and Bent Banky already on the march in the background for Dora Esports, and also Martin Barner trying to find his way through the middle. And look at that from Jack Keithley, sent it down at T2, takes the lead. That was aggressive, that was bold. It's opened the door for Gergo Baldi as well.
That it has. The Williams Esports veteran, Jack Keithley, bouncing hard off the apex of turn 2 to make sure that it's stuck. Manuel Gomez really had no option. He was outdone. He's now down to 4th. The Fordzilla goes trying to maintain the inside line, 5 wide almost, coming into the hairpin. I know the cars are relatively small, but that's a lot of metal to try and squeeze into a very, very small space. That's Banky in 5th position now, chasing hard. The 2 Dorncross right ahead of him. So what, for 3 of them indeed right ahead of him. Lots of squabbling going on. Are they going to survive? 3 wide? Well, 3 wides everywhere. So far so good though. We haven't seen, I say that, a little bit of impact further up. There's Martin Barner was fighting for 8th position. It's almost a kind of try and find his car in the melee, but now this is a wonderful opportunity for Jack Keithley to try and get some much needed space between himself and the rest of the pack, exactly as Lerner did last time around. That's a big move. I think that was Barner trying to make a move up the field. There is Gomez back up into 3rd now for the Fordzilla crew. So right behind him is teammate Fiducci trying to fend off the advances of Banky. So, oh God, there's scrapping everywhere, exactly as we thought there would be. can Jack Keithley now capitalise on that up front?
Yeah, let's take a look at what happened into the hairpin. On side by side, right-hand side is what happened down there. It was a bit of 5 wide almost as we hit the apex. It was realistically Gianmarco Fiducci diving to the inside. Didn't try and make an absolute dive on his teammate, but was forced into a little bit of contact. It was Ottaviani who made contact with his rear, and in that 5 wide scenario, it was a bit of a chaotic affair, and I'm sure there'll be a few instant points racked up in that one. On the first lap of proceedings, Moritz Lerner's dropped down the order. Obviously would have started 10th now, down behind Mikael Reichel, who's the big losers over the early stages of that race. I don't actually think anyone's lost too much. Lerner's lost a fair amount. Martin Barner's lost a fair amount. He was up 6th, battling for 5th on that first stage. You can see there down the order, you've got, it was Ottaviani once again battling out with Barner, and I believe Florian Haas are at the back end of the top 10, and further positions being dropped from Moritz Lerner. High drama.
Absolutely, this race is gone as bad as the first one went well for our race 1 winner, as we now look at Pavel Nuken further down the field, side by side again on the outside line, coming through that turn 8. Further up the field, Zoltan Sulti for Miris, was the Hungarian, holding on as best he can to that 10th spot. Just look at the amount of fidgeting going on all the way through the field. That's Vela right behind him trying to make his move. Now we switch to Michael Rachel, who again, just everyone fighting for every bit of track they can get. Of course, from 11th downwards, they would have started in the position they finished in last time around. So this order should roughly be dictated by pace, other than a few people that have had a pretty bad start from the reverse top grid, mainly Lerner, who's in 14th now. It's going pretty badly for him, but it's 10 races, 10 sessions in this season, I should say. So it's not a case of one race will dictate the season by any stretch. But wow, if this is what the season is going to be like throughout, yes, please, and plenty of it.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty tight, and it's going to be hard work for Moritz Lerner to work his way back up the order into the penultimate corner, into the final one as well. He was trying to get by Christian Juhasz, but there wasn't any way through from the Dury sportsman. He needs to pull him off of the back of Ben Supanek, the Hungarian, ahead, and stop him from getting slipstream, and then try and work his way through into the hairpin once again. And it's going to be Jack Keithley still leading from Gergo Bowdy. Bowdy a little bit off the apex though in that hairpin, maybe opening the door for potential attack from the Team Fordzilla bunch behind, who are looking to march their way forward. They were very impressive throughout the pre-qualifying session, the leaderboard, as they were really high up the order as a team. And we've got Moritz Lerner here, who's now going to be passed on Christian Juhasz. He's got to do it the long way round into the arena section. Juhasz doesn't fancy letting him go, and they're still going to be side by side. High drama down the order as Lerner is working his way up. There's a little bit of contact between the two before we've got towards Mobil 1. I think this should go the way of the German of Lerner, as Christian Juhasz is going to back out.
Well challenged there from Juhasz, but Lerner knows how to make that particular move stick. But he's not got a lot of time to try and make up for lost time. Even saying that, with 9 seconds separates the entire field, so they're not too far spread out. But again, as mentioned, the field is so closely suited. Of course, the fixed setups go some way to leveling that playing field, obviously. So that's a very, very hard task for someone even as talented as Lerner. As we now look towards the tail end of the field, Nico Kramer for the ERC Academy, the tail end of the field, but again, still got plenty of fighting right ahead of him.
Yeah, one of the he's not quite in as colourful livery as his teammate, who you can see just coming through the foreground of your shot in that yellow and blue card. One of the newer recruits, not only into the team, I don't know if it's a new recruit to the team, but it's a new driver on the series anyway. Gianmarco Caducci has been let through from Juan Manuel Gomez, so the Italian up onto the podium, looking for his first race victory in the series. Might actually be a slowdown for Juan Manuel Gomez, as he's dropped the position to Ben Banky as well. That would not be an ideal way to relinquish some positions, but you can see he's already back on the attack.
Yeah, that he is. That would explain how 2 cars got past him if he had to back out the gas. And he's now going to go for the outside line coming out of 8. No, he couldn't quite get alongside, but he's nudging the back of Banky's car quite a few times. We've seen that backfire on people already, so he needs to be careful doing that. And Jack Keithley, I think, is actually being reeled in ever so slowly by Garibaldi up front. So the Brit not able to sprint off into the distance as I thought he might.
No, he is. The thing is with Keithley is he's an aggressive driver. He's one that really does fire it out of the box as hard as he can. He's won a few times in the series. He's one of the drivers that has won in both of the seasons in the CUPRA SimRacing Series. In the first season, he won the final race at Macau, and in the last season, he won at Imola. But those were his only victories in the series. For a driver of the talent of Jack Keithley would normally expect to win more. But it's just as the race unfolds, he just doesn't really have the longevity. And seeing there, I think he might have got a slowdown. He was very wide at T1, and now he's right back into the clutches of Garibaldi. There is contact as Baldi is right there, and then I did think he was a little bit wide at one, and the door might be open not only for Baldi, but for Gianmarco Verducci as well.
That's the last thing a Williams Esports driver would have wanted. Look at this lot, all following down through the parabolica. Keithley's nailed himself to that defensive line. He's got no choice. He has to try and stay to that inside line, almost going 3 wide down into the hairpin now. Baldi is in the middle, Verducci on the outside. Oh, is the Ford Citadel driver going to come back underneath? He's going to box in the Hungarian. So there's a great opportunity for Verducci. He's nudged just ahead of Garibaldi now, coming up towards turn 7. Now the Italian can try and complete the move, but Baldi's having none of that. Now Baldi's going to have the inside line for the next turn. Jack Keithley, this is a godsend for Keithley in a way, because it's going to prevent them from having to go at him. And now the Italian's back at him, but that's a lot of curb he's just taken there. That could come back to bite him, but oh my goodness, the car's just squiggling around everywhere. Keithley just cannot break away from them.
Marco Verducci then up to second position, looking for his first win in the series. Did win 2 times in the CUPRA e-racing competition, in the qualifiers at Shanghai, and then in the final at Spa as well. A driver who is learning his craft at this platform, and a very popular one indeed. He's feisty. We love seeing the Italian fight towards the front end. He knows how to race, and he loves pushing a car as hard as it can. Now sets his sights on one of the most aggressive drivers in the series, Jack Keithley. If there's a driver who knows how to hold a position, it would be the man from Ipswich. Juan Manuel Gomez then, after dropping down the order just a couple of positions, is still in position to start fighting forward, but he's also got to keep his eyes on his mirrors. Sort of diving out there was the Italian of Alessandro Ottaviani as he was trying to look for his way through. This is a replay then as to see what happened between Gianmarco Verducci and Garibaldi. It was as tight as you like. Very, very harsh racing up and over the curb as they run out of the arena section. It was feisty stuff, but that is what we want to see.
Absolutely. Oh, big move slightly further down the field. There's a bit of an impact there between. That would be Gomez and Banky. And cannot Ottaviani capitalise on that? No, not quite. The Ford Citadel driver of Gomez trying to get that full position back from Banky, but no. Did not come off this time, but that was a big move from the Italian. He could not quite pull it off this time. Right behind them, Plishka as well, trying to move his way up the field, but trying to establish himself in this conga line as well. Jack Keithley under all the pressure again, once again. Verducci's closed him in, and Keithley again just positioning his car where he needs to defend the line. Coming into turn 11. You can try and bounce out on the inside of the Sachs curve, but it is a little bit banked. There's not a lot of braking zone there. So Jack probably knew he was a little bit safe at the moment, but just that's a lot of headlights staring at his tail at the moment. Jack Keithley again must be really feeling the pressure. He seems to be able to. He's got the pace to build up a little bit of a gap, and then it sounded consistency is just not with him tonight.
Yeah, also a little bit of slipstream, which we know is quite strong in these kind of cars. There's not much dirty air, so you don't lose much from being behind, but you do gain. And in that scenario, they're pushing it very, very wide. And if he's going to be pushing it that far through T1, they were all going a little bit wide on the exit curve. The further they go, it's not just about the instant point. They'll get 1 if they push it too far, but it's about the slowdown. That's the really big one. If they're getting slowdown penalties in this scenario, that's what's going to really cost them. Zoltan Suti and Plishka switch positions as the Italian gets dropped by the Mirror Esports man, as this lot are all being separated after that crazy affair into the hairpin. Toward the front, nearly halfway through the race, Gianmarco Verducci looking to attack Jack Keithley, the 2-time race winner in the series. Behind him, the 1-time race winner of Garibaldi, up and over the hands. You can see it's such a tight hairpin. getting escorted off the Italian. You can see he's not happy with that already. Holding up the hand, getting angry at the number 44 of Jack Keithley. Just aggressive defence on the exit of that hairpin section. Caducci once again trying to attack, this time at the outside of the arena. That one's not going to work. Keithley's going to have that one covered off. Keithley looking, by the way, for his 9th podium in the CUPRA SimRacing Series. So a little bit of a fun fact there, I guess, for you.
We saw this last year from Marco Caducci, didn't we? Where, if he does get involved in the scuffle, that Mediterranean passion coming out of the Italian. We saw it a few times last year, and once again he is maintaining that drive throughout this race as well. As we jump back to 11th position, Lucas Vela, the Brazilian, trying his best for the Snow Shetland Esports squad on the back of that's Florian Hasser, a race winner who's made it up to 10th position at least. There's no reverse grid race for next week based on this one, I'm afraid. But Florian Hasser doing what he can. In fairness, he's made a few positions since the beginning, but it's really not gone his way. He'll be very, very disappointed in that, I would imagine. You're well over halfway in the race now as we are looking at Salty. What can he do on the tail end of Gomez? I beg your pardon, on the back of the Italian. So what can he do from there? Well, it's what he's been doing all race long, really. Just continue to keep the pressure on. Or has he got an opportunity here on the back of Ottaviani? Who knows? We look at the battle for the lead once again. Jack Keithley once again defending very easily. Both Force Indy cars are involved in the fight as big scrap 3 wide going through the hairpin there.
Yeah, there was Ottaviani, Schuti, Juan Manuel Gomez losing out in all of that. Keithley still able to hang on at the moment. A lot to look at throughout this race. It's been a crazy affair in the second race of the season. And Gianmarco Caducci, the Italian, this time super committed. No way around the outside in the arena section again. That's the only opportunity he's really getting. And the more he tries it, the more Jack Keithley knows exactly how to cover it off. And it's going to be dropping into the clutches of Gergo Baldi. High-profile retirement then after all of that. Juan Manuel Gomez is out of the race. We are missing another driver. It was Mihai Neg, who is the driver who is also out of the race. And so a couple of casualties in the early stages of this race. Still 10 minutes to go. Still plenty of battles to unfold. One being this between the 2 Mirror Esports drivers. I was going to say that Zoltan Suti's got a driver behind that's going to be looking to assist. I think you can cancel that one as Martin Barner, in the same way that he was making his name when he was a part of AAA, as not sitting back, not waiting to be invited to anything in the team. He was there to grab stuff, doing the same thing for Mirror, getting out there, elbows out.
Absolutely, so much fighting going on. We appreciate the efforts of Robert Wiesenmüller in the background, trying to find the great opportunities to point the camera to for us to chat about and us all to enjoy the racing of. And there's so many opportunities to do so, as Salty has lost that 7th position right behind the Florian Hasser now to 9th place. He could actually try and nail the pair of them. He's gone to part the waters right in the middle of that 3 wide. He's Florian Hasser, a race one winner. And then Caducci!
Here he goes. Welcome to the CUPRA SimRacing Series. At the front, Gianmarco Caducci does get ahead of Jack Keithley at the hairpin, but Keithley's going to spend no time behind as he's already diving it. And Gergo Baldi, look at this, out of nowhere from 3rd, gets himself up to 2nd and is now attacking one of the drivers he has fought time and time again with over the last few years. He's at the inside now. Gianmarco Caducci was looking as well. This is tough stuff, and they're still bashing.
You weren't kidding when you said Jack Keithley is an aggressive driver. Crikey, he punched the Italian in the face, and now he's having an argument with the Hungarian. Now Banky's in there trying to make his move, which he does. He's demoted Caducci down to 4th. So from the lead to 4th position in the space of 2/3 of a lap, the Force Indy driver trying to do something about it. He's forcing the outside line coming through that final turn, and now Ottaviani's in there. That's 5 drivers all within a second of each other. We still have just under 9 minutes to go.
Who needs incident points? Because based on how they're driving, not any of these, because they are getting their elbows out. Keithley leading for Baldi, Banky and Caducci. As you say, Ottaviani within a second of the leader in 5th place. It is as tight as you like. Bence Banky, he was second on the all-time winners list in the series. He's second on the all-time podiums list with 11. He could go joint lead on that. If he gets a top 5 here, he'll have the most top 5s of anyone in the CUPRA SimRacing Series at 19. So he has got himself a fair few good results, and he knows how to convert a race result into a victory. Baldi also knows how to win races. Oh, and Gianmarco Caducci as well dives, gets himself back onto the podium. Gergo Baldi trying to fight Jack Keithley is just looking for the inside through the kink, not going to be able to do anything yet.
Oh, Caducci, again, what a move. He's taking some leaves out of Jack Keithley's book, I think, for just getting the aggression in at the right time. But Baldi cannot get the move done. Coming through the arena section once again. 5-car train, and very nearly that's Barner that's fallen a little bit off the back of this particular pack, but could easily get involved in it. And then there's a mighty great train right behind them. So you don't go anywhere. This is by no means done. The field, other than sadly we're losing Gomez in this race, is still separated by, what, 10 seconds?
Yeah, 9. It's intense stuff on the right side of your screen. You're seeing that move back down the inside aggressive, super aggressive stuff. And on the central part of the screen, still super aggressive stuff. As Bence Banky was to the inside of Caducci, but there wasn't a way through at the penultimate corner, and Caducci's going to hang on to the podium. Ottaviani, though, at T1 might be thinking fancying a move, but no way through for the Italian. But again, the more they fight, the more that everyone behind is a part of it. And I think this might well be a 6-car train for the race lead, because Martin Barner is knocking at the door now for a potential top 5, and there's still 6.5 minutes to go in the second race of the CUPRA SimRacing Series, and they are going to be fighting this hard, believe me, all the way until that final race on the streets of Macau later in the year. It's going to be a long 10-round season if they're going to be fighting like this. I feel sorry for whoever's doing the highlights package. Oh, it's me.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, indeed. Just bum the whole race in, quite frankly. Side by side, once again, Keithley and Baldi, the Hungarian, just fending off the advances of Caducci as he's still trying to get up further up the podium. Banky still right in there, pushing the Fords of their car along almost. And right behind them, Viviani. So the next Italian in line. Keithley once again defending that inside line, coming through into turn 8. Still defending for all he's worth. But he's immediately ready to pounce if it does all go wrong for him. But I fear if it goes wrong now in the final 6 minutes of the race, then he may not have time or the opportunity to fight back. We will see. Back into and towards turn 12. Oh my goodness me, the amount of pressure that must be going through his mind at the moment is just mind-boggling.
Yeah, this is exhausting to commentate on. It's exhausting to make a broadcast. I'm sure it's almost exhausting to watch, but trust me, as a driver, every single corner it takes so much energy. It gets more and more, and you've been dealing with this for 25 minutes, and you just think, I can't do another corner, I can't do another lap. Oh, you've got to do another 5 minutes if you want to grab yourself victory, and that's what you kind of have to keep fighting. How much do you want this win? How much do you want this result? How much do you want to be on top here at the Hockenheim ring? And trust me, all of these drivers want it very, very badly indeed. And to be honest, I can see almost anyone inside. I wouldn't even rule out the top 10 at this stage because it's still very, very close. But realistically, the top 6, top 7, they're very much a part of this train. It's very close. Ottaviani has been sat there patiently. Bence Banky did get back up onto the podium into the arena section on Caducci. Are we going to see a move into the hairpin once again? 4.5 minutes to go. Jack Keithley away a little bit clearer than normal, and Bence Banky's on the attack now on Gergo Baldi, but no way through at present. 3 of the biggest names in RaceRoom competition, Jack Keithley, Gergo Baldi and Bence Banky, all going at it with some of the young guns, some of the future stars, being that of Caducci, of Ottaviani, of Barner, Plishka as well.
Oh, every time they're so close, I'm wincing, expecting them to go wrong and end up in a big tangled mess on the outside of the track, and they just don't. They're doing so well in just maintaining this in blistering pace, very, very close, and not sending each other off into the dust. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Even further back, there's Max Pfeiffer at the tail end of this particular pack. It is very brightly coloured ERC car. And look at the fighting right ahead of him. That's the 26 car. That's having an argument. That's Maurice Lerner. it just shows how much of a topsy-turvy race has been for our race 1 winner. And he won that by a comparative country mile compared to what we're seeing in this race. It just has not gone well for him this time around. But again, does it not prove that every single moment is worth fighting for?
Yeah, these drivers can all win races. Proof of that would be Moritz Lerner down there as well, battling it out with Adam Pinsesh, who last season won the first race of the season himself. So both of them being race winners on multiple occasions in the series, battling it out for what is 30th and 14th. I mean, if you're going to have a pre-qualifier where everyone's separated by an 1/8 of a second, you're going to have a tight battle all the way through, and it's what makes that reverse grid so difficult to deal with, because it's like overtaking yourself. The person you want to get by is genuinely, hand on heart, maximum of a 1/10 slower than you. It's tough.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great problem for us commentators to have, and we hope that you watching along are enjoying it as much as we are. It's absolutely fantastic. So Baldy once again fending off Bent Banky for that second spot. It's just so difficult. A little bit of a gap forming between Banky and Fiducci. You can see Fiducci may well just be concentrating on the defensive game as Martin Barner trying to force his way through on Plishka for 6th position. Has he got it done? Not quite. So he's having a good argument for the next in the line. Look at that big train right behind them as well. A little bit of a gap between the two snakes, but still plenty of action to go. It's only a couple of minutes left on this round. A great check. I'm just add another 25 minutes on.
Yeah, I know. We need to get back to some longer races because this is fantastic stuff. And I mean, trust me, in the 60-minute races last season, it was like this all the way until the checkered flag. Constantly, it was absolutely crazy stuff. We've got 2 groups of 5 at the head of the field as we head on to the final lap here in round 1 of the CUPRA SimRacing Series in 2021. Jack Keithley leading the way by half a second at present from Gergo Bowdy, very wide at T1. We saw him get a slowdown. He is pushing the limit once again, but maybe he needs to. Maybe he feels that he needs to push it that close, because if he gets a slowdown, then fair enough, I guess. But if he can build a gap, it just makes him safe.
Yeah, that's what he's gone for. He needed that gap really down into the hairpin primarily, because he knew that those behind him was going to go for that banzai move. No one's going to do it from that far back, he says, bracing himself for the people to do exactly that. But I doubt anyone's going to banzai from that far, and indeed they don't. So Jack Keithley just timed his attack perfectly well and just kept it clean through this final lap. We jump back to Lucas Vela fending off the advances of Jukash right behind him for the last of the top 10 spots. Big one, that's Hasse. He's having an argument, trying to fight for 9th. Do beg your pardon. So again, Florian Hasse had a fairly decent run to try and improve, but hasn't been able to impact the top 10 too much. So we jump back up to the top, still arguing to be had.
This is it then. Final few corners for Jack Keithley, who has been one of those drivers that's won in both of the previous seasons, looking to be the first one to make it 3 seasons from 3 when it comes to taking a top step, and to do it in the second race. For the Englishman, that is exactly what he wants. He's had 8 podiums before in the CUPRA SimRacing Series. Scratch that off, make it 9. Keithley's on top for the 3rd time in the CUPRA SimRacing Series from Gergo Bowdy and Bent Banky, some of the biggest names in RaceRoom competition, fighting it out with the future stars as hard as you like, with Fiducci and Ottaviani in behind. That was a hard race, and that shows how much experience Bowdy's got. He just took one breath and thought, oh, wow. I mean, that was tough. Got himself up to 2nd position anyway, with Banky, Fiducci, Ottaviani. You can see there Plishka, Barner, Schuti, Haase, and Vela rounding out the top 10. a crazy scene then to continue the series, and trust me when I say that based on the previous 2 seasons in the CUPRA SimRacing Series, we have got a season of that. We've done 19 rounds now of racing in the CUPRA SimRacing Series. It's 5 in season 1. It was 13 last season. We've got 10 to look forward to this season. The action's been coming thick and fast. What a race though, what a battle.
Yes, please, is all I have to say to that. So next time around, we shift to the home of British motorsport for Silverstone in a couple of weeks' time. But yeah, if that was anything to go by, this season will be absolutely incredible.
Yeah, a fantastic season to look forward to as we race around to the streets of Macau at the end of the season. We started here at Hockenheim, a great race one it was, and we'll jump to Robert Wiesenmüller, who's catching up with those drivers that did very, very well this evening.
Hello, loud and clear. Yeah, I guess the first one was unexpected for me because in the qualifying I was never really strong in the practice sessions, but I got a really good draft of a car in front of me and actually was able to snatch the pole. And yeah, I got the turn 1 perfect at the start, and that allowed me to like break the draft. Behind me, the guys were fighting, so I was able to go drive away without them having draft and close up again at the Parabolica. So yeah, race 1 was perfect, and I already knew the second race will be quite hard because of the top 10 reverse, and I had to start 10th. And yeah, first few laps I was getting dive bombed left and right, collected a lot of incident points right in the beginning, so I wasn't able to do anything else than move out of the way all the time, otherwise I would get the disqualification. So it wasn't the best of races. I tried to get the maximum amount of points as possible without a disqualification, and it was, I think, 13th in the end.
So yeah, last time you were also in the championship fight against David Notch, who eventually came out on top. How do you rate your chances this time after this great opening round?
I mean, against Notch, I guess it's a bit more easy now because he didn't do the first race, but in general it will be quite hard because during the season I'll have to focus on GT Masters and some other competitions, so the full focus won't be on CUPRA, I'm afraid. But yeah, I'll try my best every time, and as you saw, you just have to be a little bit lucky in the races, collect the points, and even with not a lot of practice, you can gain a lot of points for the championship.
Okay, maybe final question. You joined a new team, Der Motorsport, or Der Esports, actually, the esports branch of the real racing team. So how's the teamwork going so far?
It's going pretty good. Like, we practice every night when we have races going on, and we all have a really good synergy because we know each other for years already, and now joining a team together, I think it's the best thing we could have done. As I said before, we work really well together, and the practice sessions are really good. We push each other every time, and yeah, that's how you see so many of our cars at the front.
Congratulations once again, Moritz, and good luck in the next rounds.
Thank you.
And back to Lewis.
Yeah, great to catch up with Moritz Lerner there. A disappointing race 2, but Chris, I think he's going to be taking the highs of race 1 and continuing with that throughout the season.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, certainly hope so, because he just did exactly what he needed to do. Got that clean break, and the fact that he qualified on pole shows the pace he's got. You know, luck is always going to be part of racing, no matter how you cut it. But I mean, fair play to him. He's proven that he can beat the best of this field. So may that momentum continue. Tolles Rennen.
Yeah, it's a great way to start the season. Unfortunately for race 2, it didn't go out very well. Did go very well for someone else in race 2, that being Jack Keithley, who took top honours in that one. Rob Wiesenmüller should have him now.
Yes, we have a small technical issue here. Before we can speak to Jack, just let me sort it out in a very quick moment before we can finally see him in full glory. Jack Keithley, winner of the second race, and what a fight it was.
Oh, this part of the talk. Oh, it was insane. Absolutely insane. I didn't think I was going to do in race 2 after I made a few little mistakes, which put me closer to second place, which annoyed me. I thought the defensive drive I was doing was very tough, but I felt like I had to do it. You know, you can't show yourself to be a pushover in this series. So I just did everything I could to stay ahead and felt like I'd done it within legal bounds. I hope so. But yeah, I'm really, really delighted to get the win, especially after the week I've had.
Well, behind you, Gianmarco Fiducci and Gergo Baldi, two very experienced drivers on RaceRoom. They probably tried all their tricks, and we saw Fiducci getting a little bit frustrated on the camera. So what do you think, like in general, looking towards the next round? So is this aggressive Jack Keithley that we saw last season, is he gonna come back for the whole season?
Well, no, because actually the main reason for my penalties last season were mainly just through crashes. You know, like at Hockenheim last year, I locked up and ploughed into a few people. That was all my own fault. But this time I feel like with none of that, I'm just like everyone else. You've got to be aggressive. You got to, especially when you're racing at the front. So I will be driving like this, but obviously nothing to like last year where I caused too many crashes. But yeah.
Final question. This time you're still driving for Williams Esports, but your teammate from last season, Moritz Löhner, as we just heard, has moved over to Der Esports. So you're kind of on your own in the championship fight. Do you think you can overcome this?
Who knows? Just who knows? Qualifying will be a big reason as to the finishing order races, I feel, because of how it works and people slipstreaming. You can see that during today. I feel like I started well up despite no slipstream on my lap. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's going to be a good fight, especially if I'm racing Marine. So I'm really looking forward to that. Oh, I'm exhausted.
Yeah, we can see it, Jack. Congratulations once again on your victory in race 2. And thanks a lot for the interview. Back to Lewis and Chris.
Yeah, that was a tough race for Keithley in race 2, Chris. And he's earned himself a bit of a breather.
Yeah, but didn't he come out swinging though? If that's a precursor for the season, then yeah, we can't ever discount Jack from being towards the top. Really, any of the top 10, quite frankly, certainly from race 2 that we saw. But as mentioned, we will be at the home of British Motorsports next time out on the 27th of May at Silverstone. Oh yeah, if that was anything to go by, I'm very much looking forward to this.
Yeah, you say anyone really inside the top 10 can take victories. Trust me, 11 different people have won races in the CUPRA SimRacing Series, and I do believe that will continue. Silverstone, of course, a circuit which a lot of drivers like, a lot of drivers fancy their chances around. We saw it in the CUPRA e-racing competition. We haven't seen it in the CUPRA SimRacing Series, so we head there in a couple of weeks' time. Should be a great venue, of course, to the Nordschleife as well. Looking at some stuff from the race, and it was some crazy racing. This is from race 1. Obviously, Lerner out front, Ottaviani looking backwards towards that battle. Florian Haase getting himself onto the podium as they were really tussling hard in the background. This is even toward the midpoint of the race, and trust me, it was very elbows out all the way to the checkered flag. For those of you that want to see more of this kind of racing, subscribe to the channel, of course, because trust me, this is going to be all over the place. Crazy stuff on lap 1 in race 2, Chris, when we saw that 5 wide down into the hairpin. Madness.
And no one spun out, amazingly. You know, you could any other series, you go 5 wide into a hairpin like that, and that's just a disaster waiting to happen. And you just didn't. Yeah, a lot of door banging, obviously, but that just goes to show the talent that we've got in this series.
Qualifying is open for the next round, so we'll hopefully see all the big names back again for round 2 in the CUPRA SimRacing Series in a couple of weeks' time. Hopefully we can see them joined by the likes of Kirill Antonov, the likes of David Noj as well, the likes of Tim Yarshall. For all the strong names that we've got on the grid, trust me, there's a plethora of drivers that just missed out in one of the tightest qualifying sessions you could ever wish to see. 1/8 of a second separated them here. Is it going to be the same in 2 weeks' time? We'll have to wait and see. Until then, thank you very much for joining us throughout the course of this race. I've been Lewis McGlade, Chris Buxton alongside Rob Wiesenmüller on cameras. We'll see you again in a couple of weeks' time when we head to the home of British motorsport. Until then, bye-bye. They take to the start here for the very first time. Looking down the inside of Jack Keithley as well, a touch of contact between the two. Still rubbing wheel to wheel. What a move! Fantastic stuff.